So when Thunderbolts was announced, I wasn't particularly excited for it. I wasn't very interested in it. I was kind of at a point even then where I was thinking, the MCU is just doing so much right now. There's so much, there are too many characters, and I don't know why I kind of imagined they were going to use characters that we'd never met before, but that was my mindset. A little bit of time passed, we found out who were going to be the Thunderbolts. We found out who the roster was going to be, and that got me super excited. I mean, I love the Red Guardian character. I think he's fabulous. He's so underutilized in the MCU. Back when it felt like every single side character was going to get their own Disney Plus spin-off series, I was really wanting a Red Guardian prequel show for Disney Plus. The big thing that kind of won me over with Thunderbolts was the trailers. When they dropped that first trailer, I was like, this looks good. And then the more that we saw from this movie, the more excited I was by it. The more excited I was to see what this story would be. There are times when, trailers are good, but the movie's not so good. I mean, look at the Michael Bay Transformers films, but this was a movie that the trailers did a wonderful job selling the movie, and the movie delivered. Thunderbolts is great, and it shouldn't be. This is a movie that should not be great. This movie should not work. This should be terrible. This should not be good, but it is. They did a fabulous job with Thunderbolts. They've got a real winner on their hands with this one. One of the things that Thunderbolts does superbly is get us to really care about the characters. Because a lot of these characters we've not seen in 3 or 4 years. It felt like the MCU had moved on from the John Walker character or the Yelena character. But no, they're great in this movie. Yelena's whole story arc of not knowing what her purpose is. The film ends and she's just starting to find it. It was a great arc for her. She was wonderful. I actually think that Yelena is a real contender to be the new face of the MCU. How many other big name heroes of the MCU have been in more than 2 projects of the Multiverse Saga? We had Yelena, of course, in Black Widow, but then in the Hawkeye series where she was great, and then in this movie. The John Walker character, what a turnaround. It definitely felt like his arc was just starting in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, but we didn't really have a sense as to where his story would go. And what they did with John Walker in this movie, of making him into a broken man who's just trying to sleep at night. He's lost his family, he's lost his child, and it's his fault, and he knows it. That line from Yelena of, you're a piece of trash, Walker, and so does your family. Both times I saw the movie, the audience reacted strongly to that scene, that he knows what he did. I can't wait to see how his story evolves through the MCU. In terms of Bucky and why was he here, what's the purpose, why is he even still in the MCU, I would say because his arc is over, that makes it more impactful that he's here. We just watched him spend however many years, however many movies, letting go of his past as Hydra's secret assassin. So I'm really happy that he gets to be here now, that he's atoned for his sins, and he gets to move on with his life. I love that for him. I've alluded to this already in the video, but I do have a lot of love for David Harbour's performance as Red Guardian. He's such a wonderful and welcome addition to the MCU. And honestly, the best scene of the movie belongs to him. It's the scene that he shares with Yelena after she storms off, and the way that Yelena says, "Daddy, I'm so alone," absolutely broke my heart. And you have this character of Alexei, who's jokey the whole movie, but in this one scene, he's able to be a father to her. And he says, "When I look at you, I don't see your mistakes." Absolutely beautiful. I think other than Daredevil, Red Guardian is my favorite character of the MCU at this moment. While Ghost didn't get much to do in Thunderbolts, it was really great to see her come back to the MCU. I really loved the dynamic she had with Walker. Her calling him Dime Store Captain America. Loved that. Thought that was great. I hope that she gets more to do in the future. I absolutely loved the depiction of Sentry in this film. I loved how he was just a broken man, much like the rest of the Thunderbolts. He reminded me a lot of Homelander from The Boys, just in terms of, absolute power, not having a parental figure in your life. And you kind of got a glimpse of that with Valentina, where she says, "Do I look nurturing enough?" Bob was brilliant in this movie. I loved how in the post-credit scene he says, "Sorry guys, I can't be the Sentry because then the Void might come out." That's the kind of story that I wish we got with the Hulk. If you know the comics, you know the connection that Hulk and Sentry have, so maybe that's something they could play with down the road. Bob was fabulous. One of the other things that really stuck out to me with Thunderbolts was the score. Outside of the Avengers theme, you really don't pay attention to the score of MCU movies all that much. It's not really Marvel's strong suit. Sun Lux did an incredible job putting together the score for this movie. Particularly with the Bucky theme when he's on the bike. Really loved seeing Bucky get his heroic anthem in this movie. The first flight piece, when Sentry's flying for the first time. That music worked perfectly with that scene. And that's one of the really cool things about film scores when they're done well, is you get a scene like that that's already great and it's just amplified by a great score. And that's what Sun Lux provided with a lot of Thunderbolts. But on the topic of the first flight scene, and the wonderful score that was provided for it, that goes hand in hand with expert direction. And Jake Schreier directed the hell out of this movie. He comes from the indie world. His show Beef on Netflix a couple of years ago swept at the Emmys. And you could tell that he brought a lot of those independent sensibilities to the MCU. And that's one of the things that I think the MCU has been missing the last few years. You think about Marvel lately, and there's not really an emphasis on characters. There's a lot of emphasis in some of the more recent films on visual effects. And when Marvel was really at its peak back in the mid to late 2010s, you wouldn't notice the visual effects. Yes, they would be visual effects heavy, but the visual effects would always serve the story. And lately it's felt like Marvel movies have had the characters serve the visual effects. And a lot of the time they've not been very good. And beyond that, I mean, there have been so many movies lately with the MCU that have been focused on creating that next Avengers Endgame theatrical reaction. Because I remember when the pandemic happened, and one of the big things that was trending were the Endgame theater reactions and seeing the audience react to those. And I remember an interview where Kevin Feige was saying, yeah, I was obsessed with those. And that was when I decided that we were going to keep all our movies theatrical. And that's true. But I think the other thing they realized was they want more moments like that. And they tried to create them artificially. Yes, it worked in Spider-Man No Way Home, and it's a great movie. I know that the fan base is pretty mixed on Deadpool and Wolverine. I really like Deadpool and Wolverine, though I will certainly admit that it is definitely more of a cameo fest in that movie. And then you'd have Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, where, you'd have the Illuminati for 5 seconds, then they all get killed. But Thunderbolts is a movie that doesn't concern itself with any of that. It's not focused on big cameos and big audience reactions. If there are audience reactions, and there were in my screening, they were earned because they were set up well in this film. This is a movie that's focused on the characters, it's focused on the story, that is only concerned about telling this story. It's not concerned with setting up 12 other things. That's saved for the post-credit scene, which was a great post-credit scene, but I am immensely happy with the movie that we got and how it feels like old Marvel again. This movie feels like classic MCU. And hopefully now that Kevin Feige has his power back, and we're starting to see the effects of it, because it does take a long time in this business, where there will be a massive change at the top of the food chain. You won't see the effects of it for 2 or 3 years. Look at DC right now. James Gunn has been co-CEO with Peter Safran since the end of 2022. Superman's the first thing that he's been able to have his name on outside of the Creature Commandos thing. So hopefully this is really a signal of Marvel's return to form. Again, I love this movie, and I can't wait to see them return in Avengers Doomsday next year. Hey guys, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and consider leaving a comment down below. Thanks again, and see you next time.